Well, let's go to Governor Pawlenty, because a lot of people thought that when John McCain sat down and decided who was going to be his running mate, that the person who finished second on that list was Governor Pawlenty. You know, let me just ask you this question, Governor. Tom Ridge, the former governor of Pennsylvania, said that he thought there would be a different dynamic going. He actually said, had he or someone else been put on the ticket other than Governor Palin. Do you think it would have come out differently, or do you think these polls would have looked better had Governor Palin not been on the ticket?
Well, I think Governor Palin, Bob, has brought a lot of strength to the McCain ticket. She's energized the base. She's had appeal to independent voters and to women voters in ways that Senator McCain was hoping for when he selected her. And as to Governor Ridge's comments, you know, obviously when you have a governor, a former governor from a state that's popular, that may help. But Governor Palin's appeal really transcends any one state in terms of the Republican base, in terms of the voters that Senator McCain was hoping that she'd appeal to. But, you know, you have to look at it as a national perspective, not just any one state in terms of her appeal.
Let me ask you about what Senator McCain said last week to the Washington Times in an interview. He literally lit into the Bush administration. When asked about what happened during the Bush administration, he said, we let things get out of hand. Then he just gave a litany of policies that he would have handled differently. I'm going to put these quotes up here on the screen. He said, spending, the conduct of the war for years, growth of the size of government, larger than any time since the Great Society, laying a $10 trillion debt on future generations of Americans, owing $500 billion to China, failure to enforce and modernize the regulatory agencies, failure to address the issue of climate change seriously. How does one run against one's own party, Governor? Because that's clearly what he was doing.
Well, Bob, as a maverick, Senator McCain's been doing that to some extent for his whole career. And I think it's him trying to show with very specific examples his concerns or how he would have been different from the Bush administration, President Bush's administration, that poignant moment in the debate that you moderated when he said, Senator Obama, I'm not President Bush. If you wanted to run against President Bush, you should have run 4 years ago, was an expression of him saying, you know, my record's different. I'm not the same as that. And those examples that you pointed were things that he's saying, this is a proof, this is evidence that I'm not just a continuation of President Bush's term. And so it's a very strong statement, but it's one that I think is born in the facts, is based in the facts.
Do you think he shouldn't have said that?
Well, I think he's been accused throughout this campaign of being just President Bush or just a continuation of the President Bush's term. And so he, I think, felt a responsibility and obligation to differentiate and explain how that's not the case. So he's a charge or an allegation was made against him. I think it's right for him, appropriate for him to rebut it.
You know, Governor Rendell, one of the points the McCain campaign is making right now is that you're coming on a situation here that he is the only person that stands between Barack Obama, who wants to raise everybody's taxes, and a Democratic-controlled House and Senate that are going to help him in that endeavor. How do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, let me say that Senator McCain's been very hypocritical criticizing President Bush. He didn't do it during the primaries, and he said, and we've got him on tape saying he agreed with 90% of all of the decisions that President Bush made. So this is Johnny-come-lately born out of desperation. In terms of a Democratic president and a Democratic Congress, first of all, Senator Obama has, and let's make it clear once and for all, for working people who make less than $250,000, he's not going to raise your taxes. He's going to cut them, and according to bipartisan policy institutes, he's going to cut them 3 times more than John McCain will. That's number one. But number two, we have gridlock in Washington. There's no question about that. Governor Pawlenty and I agree on that. The only way to break that gridlock right now and act quickly to meet our challenges is to have a uniform government that can move swiftly and smoothly. But Barack Obama has said he's going to control spending. In the last debate, he said he's going to go over every line of the federal budget. So I think we can move quickly if we have a Democratic Congress and a Democratic president to meet the challenges we face and at the same time impose the same type of fiscal responsibility that President Clinton did.
Let me ask Governor Pawlenty this question. David Fromm, who used to work for George Bush, and was there through a good part of the Bush administration, suggests that the situation has gotten to the point now that Republicans should begin to shift money away from the presidential campaign and put it into some of these Senate races around the country, because a lot of Republican senators face the possibility of getting beat. Do you think it's reached that point?
Well, Bob, if you look at Senator McCain's life, it's an entire story of coming back from adversity and overcoming adversity. Does Barack Obama have an advantage in the presidential race right now? Yes, but no one should ever count John McCain out. His time and time again, he has overcome and had comebacks in his life that have been incredible, and I think he'll do it again here, with the message being you don't want the entire government run just by the Democrats or liberals. On January 20th, a U-Haul truck pulling up to the White House, unloading a whole truckload of bad ideas, not having the experience and the wisdom to confront what even Joe Biden says is going to be a test of Barack Obama in the first months of his presidency. And then lastly, just making sure we don't put burdens on the economy that will stifle job growth. For most people, their main ticket to opportunity is their job. What Barack Obama is opposing is opposed by most job providers in this country.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank both of you for coming this morning. I think we've still got some campaigning to go here in this last week. Thanks to both of you. Hope to see you again.
Thanks, Bob.
All right.